Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Colonel Chris Thomas, Chief Deputy here at the Onslow County Sheriff's Office. I guess you can tell from the display we have here, it's in reference to the catalytic converter larcenies that's been going on in all of our counties. For those of you who don't know, a catalytic converter is an accessory part for an exhaust system for vehicles. These parts can cost anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000 a piece to replace if they're damaged or stolen. They're often stolen from vehicles that are unattended or left in a place that may be an easy target for them, for thieves to come cut them off. Hence our name of our operation, Operation Sawzall. It's real easy to take a battery-operated reciprocating saw and crawl under a vehicle and cut it out in just a matter of a few minutes and be gone with it. Catalytic converter's value comes from the material that's contained inside the what is referred to as the honeycomb. This is the material that's on the inside of the tank itself. It burns off the gases and pollutants that vehicles emit. It helps them be a little more friendly to the environment. But to deal with that stuff, it has precious metals in it in manufacturing. It has rhodium, palladium, and platinum is contained in these catalytic converters, which makes them a high value for recycle. Over the past year, nationally, the National Crime Insurance Bureau indicates that the increase for larcenies have been over 305% throughout the nation. However, I'm going to speak for Onslow, and I'll let the other sheriffs speak for their counties, but in Onslow County, over the past 4 months, ours have jumped over 107%. In 2020, we had about 95, and during the whole year, 95 separate larcenies of these catalytic converters. First 4 months of this year, we've had 97. That's just in a 4-month period of time. Our detectives have been working diligently to try to follow up on the individuals who've been stealing these catalytic converters, and we have made random arrests here and there of individuals that have been targeting our citizens. In 2021, the legislature passed legislation that a person that's in possession of a detached catalytic converter that cannot prove ownership, that's a violation of the law. Also, it prohibits scrap metal dealers or recycle centers from purchasing catalytic converters from individuals who are selling them unless they are licensed businesses fit that, like a repair shop or something of that nature, that would have a legitimate reason to have these catalytic converters. Due to the increase in the thefts of them, a lot of the manufacturers are now saying that they're going to start putting vehicle identification numbers, the VIN numbers, on the catalytic converters, so when we find them, we can determine whether they were actually stolen or not. Currently, they are not. It's difficult to match a catalytic converter back to a particular larceny when they're stealing them from 3-county area. In February of this year, like I said, our detectives here in Onslow had been chasing some various individuals. You see a lot of them on the display to the left, and reaching out to the other counties to try to find out what they were dealing with. During that time of trying to share information with our fellow sheriff's offices, we talked to the detectives in New Hanover County. Our detectives here mentioned a particular individual by name, which New Hanover County was familiar with, and they were trying to work a case on him as well. His name is Emerson Jordan. He's top left on the display here to the left. In doing the investigation, a lot of surveillance, a lot of late nights, a lot of trying to track down leads here and there, we ended up identifying 27 individuals in a 3-county area that were a part of this criminal organization. These individuals would steal the catalytic converters. They would go to a middleman, which is most of them are on this chart, and that middle person would carry them to Mr. Jordan in Pender County or New Hanover County, and that's where they would sell them to him. He in turn would sell them at a much greater price in different places in the state that he could go to sell them. In total, we charged 423 felony charges related to the catalytic converters on 27 different conspirators. They're all charged with a continuing criminal enterprise, which basically a criminal organization that has a individual in a leadership role that are working together to facilitate a crime. Like I say, we serve search warrants in New Hanover County. We serve search warrants in Pender County with the help of our fellow sheriff's offices, the NCIS, the North Carolina Division Motor Vehicles License and Theft Division. They all assisted in the investigation. We had undercover operations going during this investigation. And when we served the search warrant, we ended up seizing some vehicles. We seized a panel truck, a rollback truck, and a car, but we also seized 653 catalytic converters. The individuals who were stealing them, they were getting roughly $200 a catalytic converter when they sold them to Mr. Jordan. Well, Mr. Jordan was doubling his money easily when he would sell them to the individual he had buying them from him. But to the individual who had it stolen from their car, it's costing them between $1,300 and $3,000 to replace it. So the value or the impact on our citizens is tremendous to have to come off that kind of money, because your vehicle tech really does not work without that. I'm going to introduce Sheriff McMahon. He can say a few words about the case in his county, and then Sheriff Cutler. I will emphasize that a case like this, it's impossible for one agency to do by themselves. The cooperation that we have with our fellow sheriff's offices, our federal and state agencies, is paramount to trying to get an operation like this done. The criminals, they don't know where the county, they know where the county line is, but they don't care. They need to understand that we don't care either. We're going to reach out to our counterparts, and we're going to chase them until we catch them. And hopefully this will reduce the catalytic converter larcenies in our county. I will say the day we did this roundup, within 2 days, I've not seen any catalytic converter larcenies that were recent. We may have had one that someone just discovered from a vehicle that they had parked, but no recent catalytic converter larcenies. And saying that, I'm going to turn it over to Sheriff McMahon for a moment. Sheriff.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Colonel. In New Hanover County, in the past 2 years, we have had over 200 catalytic converters stolen. And like was just said, the bad guys don't know jurisdictional lines. Well, neither do we, and I am very proud of all the deputies, of all the hard work, and of how we all work together for the best of our community. So this takes a big dent out of all these thefts, and we're going to continue. The message from all of us is we're going to continue working together, sharing information on all crimes to keep our communities as safe as possible.
Sheriff Cutler.
Good morning. I want to thank Colonel Thomas as well and Sheriff Miller for having us up here today. Pender County as well has had a rash of these thefts, and it has been a long, ongoing investigation. And I just want to say that we are extremely pleased at the way that our agencies have worked together on this case and been able to put a close to at least this very huge portion of the problem that we've been having. Like I say, we appreciate and we enjoy the working relationship that we have with Onslow County and New Hanover County and the SBI. So thank you.
Before we get to the point where we take some questions about this case, I want to acknowledge or recognize the individuals that spent the late nights, that crawled under cars, crawled through fields, served these search warrants, and risked their safety to get this case done. A lot of them are, or some of them are undercover officers, which they don't want to be on camera. However, they are in the back of this room. I acknowledge their dedication to it. The detectives from all of the counties, NCIS, SBI, and the divisions of license and theft from Division of Motor Vehicles. Their dedication to it is what made this case possible, and we appreciate their efforts. With that said, if anybody has a question, we would gladly try to answer it. Yes, sir.
So what was the time frame of this investigation? When were the arrests made?
Well, we connected the arrest was made last week, last Tuesday. Is when they started. Some arrests have trickled in since then. The search warrants were served last week. Each individual agency had been investigating their larcenies over the past year or so, but in sharing our information together, we created a team effort basically in February. So once we got established the links between everybody and got all the detectives working together and sharing information, it came together relatively quickly in a couple of month period. Anybody else?
Colonel Thomas,
yes, sir.
You mentioned NCIS was involved in the operation.
Yes, sir.
Were any active duty Marines arrested in the chart we see here, or were any of the vehicles, catalytic converters, taken on federal property on basis?
No active duty was arrested or involved, to our knowledge, at this point with the continuing criminal enterprise. However, the victims range from businesses, churches, active duty Marines, everybody that was a victim. If they would ride by a location like a church, there'd be a church in a rural community, and everybody knows churches have vans. They would be left alone there during the week, so they're easy targets for them. I will say the different converters that that Mr. Jordan was purchasing, he would give different prices. Some vehicles, converters have a lot more material in them. They're a lot more valuable. So something like a Land Rover is a higher value target for them. A church van or something with a larger exhaust system or a panel van like a U-Haul van, those are higher value because they get more money for them. And they're easier to get under. They're higher off the ground because these individuals, typically, they don't carry jacks. They just try to crawl under the car and cut it off and then throw it in their vehicle and run with it. Anyone else?
One more question, Colonel.
Yes, sir.
Did you get cooperation from the scrapyards in Onslow, Pender, and New Hanover County, the Fosses?
We have. The scrapyards in Onslow County and the ones that they have been in contact with, they have been very cooperative with us. I will say we don't have a history of them buying these, unless they're buying them from a person who legally can sell them. In other words, a licensed car dealer or a licensed repair shop or something of that nature. They have been very cooperative. The state requires these scrap yards or metal recyclers to keep pretty meticulous records. They have to keep copies of driver's license, photographs of the individuals, all the money that was spent to buy these scrap metal, so they keep good records, and they were helpful. But like I say, these were not being sold to any dealers, scrap dealers here in Onslow County or New Hanover or Pender for that matter. They were going out of this region.
So Colonel Thomas, this is the only question I have is about what you just said. With these catalytic converters going out, obviously this was a 3-county investigation. Is there any plan on expansion as far as maybe reaching out to Dukelands or the Brunswick Sawzall areas? Is this just something that's going to stop now, or are we going to keep?
No, sir. I will say this is the first phase of it. There are a lot of leads that they're still following, but this was the core group that we started working on, and we got to the point where we could round them up. Of course, folks getting their catalytic converters want them rounded up as quick as possible, and we sympathize with that. It is an ongoing investigation. We're not going to stop trying to follow leads as they follow. Once the converter's stolen and sold to the middleman, sold to the scrapyard, quite often they're shipped overseas where they are cut up, stripped, and the material's taken out of them. But they do go out of this area, and the investigation is ongoing. Anyone else? All right. Well, that wraps it up for us. We appreciate y'all coming, and if y'all have any questions later, you can contact any of the sheriffs here, myself, and if you need to want to ask any of the investigators any question in the back, feel free to do so, but be conscientious of what they do. They may not want their faces on camera, so please respect that, but we appreciate y'all coming. And again, to the detectives that actually worked the case, they did an awesome job, and we're proud of them.